So, in my last video where I talk about Gabrielle Prendergast's Audacious, I mentioned that the next book I would be reading is Raziel Reid's When Everything Feels Like the Movies. And I don't actually have the book with me to show you guys because a friend had actually lent it to me. But I had sat down that night and I read the entire thing in about an hour and a half because I just could not put it down for the life of me. I can't even explain how deeply affected I was by that book. The story focuses on this teenage boy named Jude, and it's based on a true story. And at first it was kind of like I didn't really know like what grade Jude was in, but I want to say like it felt like he was like in grade 9. So he was around like 14 or 15, and it was so weird to read because the content felt so heavy for a 15-year-old boy. And the fact is, as much as that isn't my reality, it totally is the reality for other people. Their lives really are as crazy and chaotic and filled with as much, I don't even want to say drama, but they really are just living lives that are that difficult. And it's one of those books where I read it and I'm like, as a teacher, I struggle to come up with ways that I could bring it into the classroom because it's like taking sexual education, which is already like a touchy subject for so many people, and combining it with like literature. And I wouldn't say that the book is like sexual education, but I'm talking like that level of like, how do we teach this? Because we have to be careful in the way that we teach a sensitive subject matter. And this book, I feel like it should just be branded with sensitive subject matter, but at the same time, I don't want it to be, because I want people to experience being able to read it, and I don't want people to shy away from it because it does deal with dark topics, or it does deal with topics that we've somehow stigmatized. And after reading that book, I just kind of thought that this segued into something that I really wanted to talk about, and that's incorporating LGBTQ plus literature or queer literature into the classroom, because it's something that we don't discuss enough, and it's something that we aren't seeing. We're seeing a lot of incorporation of multicultural literature, but we are missing sexual minorities, and that's something that I really want to bring into the classroom, because yes, we have multicultural classrooms, but we also have classrooms that are just diverse in the sense that we have very different students coming to us, and all students identify somewhere on the spectrum of sexuality or gender identity, and we don't know where they fall. So as teachers, we have a responsibility to provide them with books that can act as mirrors, that can act as reflections of who they are, or provide them with something they can relate to, because that's always been what literature is for me. It's always been something that I can relate to, and finding a book that strikes a chord with you, not just because you're interested in the plot or the content, but because you personally can connect with it, is so powerful and life-changing. And it's almost like a book can become a role model when you don't have a physical role model. And especially in schools, so many kids that are queer don't have that role model. And I think it's important that we all start to think of ways that we can incorporate literature. And I read an article, and I can't remember the name right now, but I will link it. And I actually wrote like a reflection on it, talking about the importance of it. But even bringing in books that aren't about queer individuals and looking at it through a queer lens and thinking about the way that society is so heteronormative, and just teaching students that just because it's the norm doesn't mean that it's necessarily right, but it's something that we definitely need to teach sensitively and approach from a place where we're understanding of all students' backgrounds and the social context of our schools, and just really approaching it from a place where it's not just about throwing in queer literature for the sake of saying, okay, we did it, like, but actually making meaning out of it, and not just meaning for queer students, but meaning for all students to better their understanding. So that's really all I have to say. I think everybody needs to go and read When Everything Feels Like the Movies, because I can't give you, there's lipstick on my teeth, like, why? But I can't give you an accurate picture of what this book entails without, you have to read it, and then we'll have a conversation about it. So yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys in another video.